Okay, my name's Gerry Lawson. I'm the Vice President of EURA, and I work for the Centre for Ecology and Hydrology in Edinburgh in Scotland, but I've been interested in agroforestry for a long, long time, probably 30 years, partially in Scotland and in the UK, and partially working in the tropics, because I've worked in Cameroon, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, places like that, and very interested in the same issues that happen in the tropics that happen in European countries. In Scotland, we have a very long tradition of grazing in forests, and in the Scottish climate you can imagine it's useful for the sheep and the cattle to get shelter from the wind and the rain. So that's done in a fairly large scale, and it's been done for hundreds of years. Now we have a grant mechanism through the latest Pillar 2, the latest Rural Development Plan, so farmers can actually get funding to establish new areas of agroforestry. Also, there is potentially funding available for in an existing forest. Perhaps if that forest is thinned or not performing very well, it is possible to establish agroforestry areas within the forest as well. So it's not just new agricultural land, it's a conversion of forest into agroforestry. Growing crops and trees together is not something so far that has happened very much in Scotland. It might do. The opportunity is there for a farmer to apply for funding, but we have not found any arable farmers at the moment who are very interested in doing that.
Why?
Arable land in Scotland, or arable land in anywhere in the north, is always at a premium. Some of the advantages of arable agroforestry that you would get in the south of France do not apply in the same way to Scotland. And partially it's just because it's not happened already, and unless a farmer can see some other farmer who has done it, then they won't apply themselves.
In your research work, how do you work with farmers or farmers?
Nowadays I'm mainly looking at the policy aspects, so I spend most of my time in European meetings trying to advocate the use of agroforestry and trying to ensure that the rules which are imposed for agroforestry systems are fair. For example, there is a European regulation that says that you cannot get your direct payment if you have more than 100 trees per hectare. We think that's nonsense because there is no definition of a tree. So if you have 100 little seedlings that you have just planted, in theory you lose your direct payment. We're trying to persuade the Commission and members of the European Union that a tree should have to be a certain size, and we're saying 4 meters diameter before it counts towards the threshold of 100 trees. So that's a political argument that we have to try to persuade the people that work for the European Commission, but also the representatives of each member state.
And why is it so difficult to...
There is a resistance amongst bureaucrats, should I say, in any country. If you are an agricultural expert, there is a resistance to growing trees. If you are a forester, there is a resistance to doing anything except for cultivating a forest. There are very few officials, government officials, that have experience of both sides. So we always fall between the two stools of agriculture and forestry. And we have to work very hard to persuade people to support us, and that's why it's so encouraging to come to this meeting today and hear such wonderful words of encouragement from the French Minister of Agriculture himself. I just wish we could persuade more agricultural ministers in other European countries to say the same. Well, I think EURAF is very important to exchange information between researchers, exchange information between researchers and farmers, and also to potentially contact people working in the industry. For example, some of the manufacturers of tree tubes are here. So EURAF has a big role to play in European fora, explaining why this comparatively unknown technology is very important for revenue for farmers, very important for the environment, and potentially in future extremely important for carbon sequestration. And that's going to be the big hot topic in the next 2 years as Europe prepares to do carbon accounting at a detailed level for the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. Each country will have to adopt new techniques for quantifying the amount of carbon that trees outside the forest lock, or the amount of greenhouse gas that they're able to capture in their foliage. All these calculations must be made scientifically, but the real goal is to enable those government submissions to the UN bodies to be made in a way that not only the government provides a total figure, but each farmer knows how much of the carbon balance in a country his little farm has contributed. So we've got 3 years to try to persuade each country to do that, to disseminate the basis of the calculations that they make down to the lowest possible level, so every farmer knows if he changes his farming practice, then he is contributing 2 or 3 tons of stored carbon to the French total or to the British total. And that's very exciting.